What would father of 5 you tell father of 1? Go.
Father of 5 me would tell father of 1 me, you don't know what you're doing and that's okay.
Man.
You have no clue how you have no clue what it took for that child to be birthed.
Right.
Acknowledge that, number 1.
Please.
Also go in a room if you have access. It'll change your life. It's a whole nother show that we can do on that, but you can't unsee that process, right? It'll change you in a way. It'll provoke some emotions out of you, but seriously, I was frustrated because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And my frustration would manifest in ways that weren't really productive, weren't conducive to us being a family, or being a strong family, or me being a good leader for the family. And for me, when I don't know something, when I'm unclear or unsure about something, I'm at my worst.
Right.
So when I didn't know what to do, I would either do nothing or do something completely unrelated that I thought was of equal value.
Right.
Fellas, there is no of equal value to birthing a child.
No.
I don't care what surgery you had. Maybe if you had some extreme injury in sport, I don't know. I wouldn't say that.
You still lose.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Because you probably didn't know that injury was coming.
No.
These women know what's at the end of the tunnel and still do it.
Interesting choice of words, tunnel.
And
that's what we doing.
They know what it takes to get to the end of the tunnel. You know one side, but that other side, Father forgive us.
Right.
Or God bless them, whichever is appropriate.
They tried to count me out. I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account. Now I got something to spend.
About to catch you cup in hand. Me and Swallow. My guy. Woo. Timer is running. Let's get it.
Let's rock.
Welcome to the Dear Son Show. We have meaningful conversations about life through the lens of fatherhood. This is my co-host. He's going to finish the intro.
Where we have real conversations about like, share, subscribe. As you can tell, if you don't know already, this is our light episode. We hit you with a heavy and we backdoor it with a light. So this is the light side.
Speaking of which, there's 60 plus other episodes you can listen to if this is your first time coming into contact with our content. We appreciate you either way. Listen 1, listen 55, or listen 70, depending on where you're catching this one. But yeah, for sure, like, subscribe, share. It does help us get placed in front of other people that will find this content meaningful. Shout out to DFW Film Crew, who has been the piece of the puzzle that I didn't want to plug in for a long time. Had access to this for a long time. Tried to do it on my own, and some of y'all saw that. Argue with your insecurities in the comments. I don't want to hear. Anyway, welcome to the show. We're going to have a good time. Like my brother said, this is going to be a light episode. I'm trying to get him to be on the ready for this intro.
We're getting there.
On the ready for this intro. Any other time, he talking that big talk.
Yeah.
To me on the spot to run that intro. How you feeling, my brother?
Feel good, man. Feel good. Everything feeling good, rolling good, falling into place. Everything is where it's supposed to be, like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, different shirts.
Yeah. Y'all see that?
I ain't have to
y'all
say
see
it.
that?
It didn't have to say it, but y'all family. Y'all family. The joke is we record multiple episodes, live next door to each other, record in my house, and don't change clothes.
Make it make sense to me.
No other reason. No other reason. Tonight we're going to have a good time. We're going to get right to it. This is a topic that I was thinking about. It's applicable to, you may have to adjust the number. You're going to have to adjust the number because our count is different. But and with that, we didn't, one thing we didn't do last recorded episode was orient the people to what our dad makeup, that's not our dad, the structure of our family. Family dynamics.
Family dynamics.
That's the word right there. So today, still have 5 children. Thank God for that. Seriously, that's not a joke. They are 19, 17, 15, 9, and 8.
I have an update. I have a 22-year-old now. 22, 18, a 16 that'll be 17-year-old in about 30 days from the time of this recording. And I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. Update on that 5, update on that 22. 2 birthdays hit me back to back. 5 boys, 1 girl. Ooh, I'm nothing for that. My daughter is 12 years old. I skipped right over that 12.
Running back.
She's 12 years old.
Running back. Yeah, for me, 3 girls, 2 boys. Girl, girl, boy, girl, boy. It's the order of things. And tonight, on this episode, it's a thing. It's a whole thing there. The time that we're recording, the day that we're recording, the season, we say everything but the date, basically. We're going to talk about what father of 5 me would tell father of 1 me.
And what father of 6 me would tell father of 1.
Yeah. This is just some reflective conversation about and I won't even say what I wish I knew. I'm going to frame it as what I didn't know, but I grew to know. Because I don't want to suggest that there's a desire to go do something over or do something different, but we apply the knowledge today to the days forward. We don't live in a rearview mirror.
Absolutely.
But I guess just right off the bat, are there things? You think this is a valuable conversation? I'm thinking that it'll reach maybe some new fathers or some fathers to be fathers with young kids that would maybe there's still potential to have more kids or just adjust where you are. What's your thoughts on the topic in general?
I love it because we often tell ourselves, I don't care who you've spoken with, if you're over 25 years old, you've heard somebody say, man, I wish I would have known. If I had known then what I know now. So I think this is a valuable topic. I would like for parents out there, fathers out there to listen to this because it's possible that some of these things that we're going to acknowledge as things that should be changed, it's possible you're doing it right now.
Right.
So change it right now. Fix it now. You may be on your first kid. Get it right now.
Right the ship, man.
Yeah.
Another component of that is I can't say that I really took on a mentor. Right? Mm-hmm. My father was around. That's not even a good way to say it because it's slight shade. If you've heard the context of kind of why this podcast started, specifically for me, it was about the relationship between me and my son and how that was recycling the relationship that I had with my dad if I didn't do something different. And again, I didn't have a terrible dad. He knew what he knew at that point. He's grown since then. I knew what I knew at that point. And now I realize more so what I didn't know as he was trying to parent me. But I didn't really take on a mentor. I mean, I had partners that we were all parents at the same time, but I don't know, it's the best thing for people doing something for the first time to advise each other.
Right. I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah, you can encourage each other and kind of compare stories. And even with that, that might be, I might have done that differently in terms of what I kept in the house and what I didn't keep in the house.
Right.
But I think that's an important thing. Don't put your ego aside and accept a mentor if you have one that's worth anything. That would be right off the bat my recommendation to you. You may or may not have heard children coughing in the background. We're recording in Studio H today.
It's the real. You get the real. Yeah.
This is an invitation into our life.
Yes.
So we're gonna go through a couple of things. And this time,
for the record, he cheating. He's looking at
that's
his
fine.
notes.
That's
He's
fine.
looking at his notes.
That's fine. I'm
off the top of the dome. I don't want to say he's cheating, but if you follow the show, and I'm hoping you do, because like, share, subscribe. But there have been instances in the past where we have pop quizzes at the end of the episode. Yeah. So stay on your toes, people. Pay attention.
What good is it if the host can't pass the quiz?
Yeah.
How we gonna grade y'all? We gotta watch the film. But now I wanted to jot down a few things like we did, and as we say often, there's not a lot of pre-gaming. We have a collection, a library of topics, and then we decide sometimes the day of, the minute before, maybe a couple days before, what topic we're going to address. True. But it's not a conversation about it. But right before we started this, I wanted to make sure that we're intentional about capturing, the things that we wanted to mention and be able to run it back concisely. But you guys want to make sure that we're still providing the most valuable possible. So, how you want to do it?
I'll start it for this first time, but what would father of 5 you tell father of 1? Go.
Father of 5 me would tell father of 1 me, you don't know what you're doing, and that's okay.
Man.
You have no clue how you have no clue what it took for that child to be birthed.
Right.
Acknowledge that, number 1.
Please.
Also, go in a room if you have access. It'll change your life. It's a whole nother show that we can do on that, but you can't unsee that process, right? It'll change you in a way. It'll provoke some emotions out of you, but seriously, I was frustrated because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And my frustration would manifest in ways that weren't really productive, weren't conducive to us being a family, or being a strong family, or me being a good leader for the family. And for me, when I don't know something, when I'm unclear or unsure about something, I'm at my worst.
Right.
Especially at that time. That kind of pokes its head today from time to time where I get frustrated. But now I'm more quick to acknowledge that frustration and then try to start figuring it out.
Right.
Asking for help if I need help or going to resources that I know are available. But yeah, I spent a lot of time taking us backwards because I was frustrated that I didn't know what to do.
Right.
So when I didn't know what to do, I would either do nothing or do something completely unrelated that I thought was of equal value. Right. Fellas, there is no of equal value to birthing a child.
No.
I don't care what surgery you had. Maybe if you had some extreme injury in sport, I don't know. I wouldn't say that.
You still lose.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Because you probably didn't know that injury was coming.
No.
These women know what's at the end of the tunnel and still do it.
Interesting choice of words, tunnel.
And
that's what we doing.
They know what it takes to get to the end of the tunnel. You know one side, but that other side, Father forgive us.
Right.
Or God bless them, whichever is appropriate.
Whichever.
But yeah, there's no match for what they go through. And some decide to go through it several times.
Like our wives.
You know what I'm saying? I say Keisha got 5 kids. She hates it, but we come to some agreement on it. Kind of because the name Keisha is always the name that's thrown in something.
Yeah.
That's the go-to ethnic name when somebody's saying something about something. But I remember the last time, young Eli, she squoze my hand.
Yeah.
These are carpals.
Lost it.
These are carpals and metacarpals. I know something. The carpals and metacarpals was on fire. And she looked me in my eyes as she squoze me. She said, I don't want to do this ever again. I said, say less.
Say less. Shop closed.
Wasn't sure how we got here. I mean, I know, but 5 does that. We do it. Love all my kids. I'm saying that in jest. But yeah, that's my long drawn out for number 1, man. Is not knowing what to do is okay.
Yes.
Staying in a state of ignorance is not.
It's never okay. Ignorance is never okay, especially in parenting. So my number 1 is relax. Let kids be kids. The biggest thing or the biggest mistake you make as a new parent is you want to get this thing right. You want to get this thing perfect.
Right.
You feel like you can't make mistakes. You feel like it's a lot on the line. I got to get this right. This kid is dependent on me. This woman is dependent on me. I can't look like I don't know what I'm doing. To your point, you absolutely do not know what you're doing. Guess who else don't know what they're doing, though? The mother. It's her first child, too. Relax. You're learning. She's learning. That child is learning. So as you're moving forward and you're getting it, you don't know what they expect. You have nothing to compare it to. You can't say, well, the last one was, guess what they're going to do? God willing, they're going to walk. They're going to talk. They're going to eat. They're going to breathe. Natural reflexes. Those are things you cannot teach. They're eventually, in due time, at the right time, they're naturally going to do those things. We focus so much on the next phase of the baby's life that you don't timestamp that moment. I didn't do enough time stamping. So that's why I say relax. As I look back and you're like, man, that time flew by. This kid's already 13. He's a teenager. You didn't timestamp it. Enjoy that kid can't talk, because when they can talk, you're going to wish that they could not talk, because they're going to talk your head off. Enjoy that babble. Enjoy that crawl, that scoot, because the kid don't really crawl. Enjoy every moment of your child's life, because the next phase is coming. It's right there. And it's easy to say that now, 6 times in, but that first time, you're just like, man, my son not walking yet. What's wrong with him? He's not talking yet. What's wrong with him? Slow down. Live in the moment. You'll thank me later.
Gotcha. So number 2 on me, father of 5, me would tell father of 1, me to help. Help. I mean, especially if you're co-parenting in the same house, you're in a committed relationship, or if you're not, my experience was a committed relationship, marriage to be specific. Help. It is not only a woman's job, only the mother's job to rear that child.
Right.
To give the child all that it needs. Now, there's things that come naturally. Very likely that there are things that come more naturally to one than the other, and I'm not going to even put a gender specific on that.
Right.
I can say, and I'll speak from my experience. I ain't running from that. My wife was more nurturing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hear, not going to say facts, I hear that's typical of a lot of women. Not all. Not even going to say most.
Right.
But I hear that's typical.
Right.
More nurturing. And I said it before, I was more mechanical. I thought there were specific things that I need to do as it related to running a house, not necessarily focusing on rearing the child.
Right.
It was all one thing to me.
Right. Yep.
But I didn't realize that there were some things that I needed to be doing. Right. It's not always, I'm speaking about me. It wasn't always my wife's job to get up in the middle of the night. In my ignorance, my logic at that time, at that age, who is not who I am today, a couple decades removed, was that, hey, somebody got to go to work. Why we both getting up? Like, surely you get that logic.
Surely.
Right? I'm doing this for us. You're doing this for us. We both doing it for us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I had this thing where I didn't change the full diapers, like the full experience.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, when they say that's number 2.
Yeah.
When they letting out all of their insides.
Right.
Because it made me sick. The smell made me nauseous. Probably made her nauseous too.
Right.
but
somebody had to deal with it.
But somebody, I mean,
somebody had to deal with it.
If it makes you less visibly nauseous, so you do that. I would
for the team.
I would typically find something else to do. And I was also, this is kind of a bonus. Because I didn't know what to do, I was scared. Like I was intimidated by the process. Like holding a small child. I had my experience with babies in the family before that were my 2 nieces.
Right.
Which my parents, their grandchildren are stacked basically the first 5 are 2 years apart.
Wow.
So it was like 99, 01, 03, 05, 07. They hit like that. So I saw my nieces and I was, 20 at the time, turning 20 so I was cool uncle.
Yeah.
I could go around them, play with them and leave. But I wouldn't even hold them until they were like 6 months. Wow. And I still got a thing with that. Keisha literally had to place a baby in my arms like, hey, nah, you get off that. Wow. But for me, I thought it was a legitimate, like, I don't want to hurt the baby because I'm...
And it's supposed to be acceptable. Yeah. You don't want me to break that little baby, do you?
So all of my flawed logic equated to me not being helpful. Right. And I did everything to justify it at the time. But take that way. If you don't take anything else from me, help.
Yep. My number 2 would be follow through. I was too quick to shift to the next approach, if you will, right? If I was trying to introduce my firstborn to something, if I felt like, in my opinion, he wasn't grasping it the way I wanted him to get it, as quickly as I wanted him to get it, let's try something else. Let's do something else. No, see that thing through. We look through the lens of, it's basic to me. I understand this to a fault. They don't yet. They're just now getting exposed to it. Relax, be patient. There's that again, relax. But follow through, meaning if you've decided to show or teach your child how to do something, don't abandon it just for the sake of they're struggling with it.
Yeah. Or your frustration.
Right. You have an expectation that perhaps is unrealistic. You're not going to drive in 3 days. You're not going to do long division in 30 minutes. Whatever the case is, you understand? You're not going to ride a bicycle on one shot. I don't care how great of a parent or dad you think you are. If you take your kid and you put them on that bike and you took those training wheels off and you take off down the road pushing them, and then they wobble and fall, and now you're angry, you frustrated.
How dare you?
How dare you? Follow through. You may need to put the training wheels back on. Perhaps it wasn't time. Follow through. Follow through can be come up with a more sound plan. Follow through can be stick with it. Follow through can be there's more than one way to skin a cat. Whatever you come up with to where you feel like you went into something or new task or a new lesson and you felt like you wanted to come out on the other end and make sure my kid or my son at least has this. Don't stop until you've reached that goal, whatever that looks like. Yeah.
That's dope. So number 3 for me, and this is the last of the scripted element of this conversation.
Right.
Scripted in the sense that we identified it before we started the conversation. Never assume how strong the mother of your child is.
Mm.
Like I said, mine was a result of a committed relationship, and that's just context. That's not a point of judgment or celebration for any of those purposes. So I knew my wife before, like we had a relationship, we knew each other, we experienced each other.
Right.
And she's incredibly strong as a person.
Right.
Strong-minded. And even through labor, she never complained.
Wow.
It was kind of like, now we started as a blended family. So number 1, I heard my oldest, which there's no step zone. My oldest, I heard that one was a doozy. I heard that one was an ordeal that she went through. But the next 4 that I donated more than time, effort, and love to,
right.
My specimens was donated.
To be specific.
It gave me a warped perspective of what is normal.
Right. Right.
It's literally, I think we should go to the hospital. Even leading up to that, she was going to work. I don't know, I don't think she was ever on bed rest with the 4 that we had together.
Mm-hmm.
It was working. Maybe it's time for you to stop working. Next day, go to the hospital.
Wow.
And I think it's coming. I don't think labor lasted more than 8 hours for any of them. I mean, Eli was like almost like people you were going to miss. The parents were going to miss it. And I think one set actually, we were about 3 hours away from my parents. I think one set actually did miss the push and all that.
Right.
But my point is, and this is not a fault thing. This is just how it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was military or just how she, her upbringing instilled that in it, but she's incredibly tough.
Right.
It was like, go to the hospital, have a baby, get released.
Hit the ground running. Right.
And kind of back. And I wasn't completely insensitive, but I never stopped to think about how this actually impacted her. Like we never talked about it. We mentioned on a sister podcast, like, what's it called? Postpartum. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Woo, thank you, God. Postpartum. We never had a conversation about it until like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wow.
Maybe 2 years ago.
Wow.
Last year, we were in Napa. And the kids are long haired. At that point. But it was never a thing. Cause I was like, I didn't know you was going through something.
Communication is key.
And even to her point, she was like, I didn't even know how to articulate it. And that's something that that's still a work in progress for both of us, is shying away from not burdening each other with things that are heavy because we assume the other's going through.
Or imagine them not knowing that that's what that is.
That's the point. Like there was no name or condition put to it at the time.
Right.
To where it was like, I know this is going on and now I'm choosing to ignore it. It was, I get it. Things are different. You had a kid.
Right.
But the emotional piece, fellas, you'll never understand that. And don't suggest that you do.
Don't play yourself.
Please, boy.
Don't play yourself.
Unless you got a mean.
Man, don't play yourself.
You got a mean shoulder shrug and dip and duck.
Right.
But levity aside, that was a big deal, and I didn't know how big of a deal it was because there was no diagnosis, there was no words to it,
no science,
and I didn't think to ask.
Right.
I didn't think to research. And maybe that's a bonus one. Go learn something outside of what you're going through about what the process could be.
Right. Right.
And have that perspective about which way it could go. You don't project that on the mother, but be aware that these conditions might show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at least you'll be prepared to be able to recognize when something is potentially off. But yeah, never assume how strong the mother is.
Even if she's the strongest, this may be her weak moment. That she's maybe the first weak moment she's ever had. And she don't know how to be weak.
Don't know how to deal with it.
Right.
And imagine, like we said, father of 5, like now, after 1 or maybe 2, now maybe there's an expectation that you just won't understand. Like you're insensitive.
Right.
Like they're reading you a certain way because you've never had the conversation and you haven't shown any additional effort. So now it's like maybe they just accept that burden and lower their expectation of you as a father on number 2. Number 3, or 4.
Continue and building
5.
on it.
Yeah. Like I know he's not gonna be able to support me in this way. So now in silence, I'm taking this on.
And that could turn into the whole birth being anxiety, a source of anxiety, you understand? Because now all of this neglect or all of these feelings that I'm gonna have to deal with alone, I'm in a relationship or I'm in a marriage or whatever your situation is, but I'm going to have to deal with this hurt, this strife alone. That could be terrifying, man.
Yeah. That's a big deal when the recurring result of a pregnancy is with the same 2 people.
Correct.
Imagine hitting that reset button every time, or if there's a different parent.
Right.
Man, that goes both ways.
Right. Ooh.
Not taking anything away from, not suggesting that the feelings are parallel or the same level or require a different level of tolerance. What I'm saying is, if you're in a committed relationship, which suggests that there's an intent for long term, and that's what you're getting.
Right.
Imagine what happens when, again, hit that reset button, new partner. Now all of that information
is null and void.
Here's the thing. Whether they project their experiences on the new person, they still have the information, which they can't. I don't know how you detach the information tied to such a life-altering experience when you're heading down that path to a similar life-altering experience.
Right. And that's interesting. and I can speak on that because that's my life. So now I'm kind of putting myself in that situation as you're saying that. And you heard me blurting out what I thought you meant, but that's not what you meant at all. Like you were saying, listen, pay attention to, you're moving off of an expectation that you have from a whole totally different experience with a whole totally different person. So you don't know, this is your first time experiencing it with this person, so you don't know how they're going to respond or react. I absolutely, hindsight looking back, went into with my new wife and the first child that we had together, went into the mode of this is how they are. This is what they do. The they. You group all women into this category, whether you knowingly do it or not. And you just feel like, I've seen this. I had 3 children with this woman, my first wife, excuse me. And it went like this every time. This is the norm. You know, my first marriage, every pregnancy, sick. I'm talking, couldn't get out of the bed for the entire first trimester. I hated pregnancies. I was like, here we go. Met it. I tried not to let on that that's how I felt about it. So then when I get remarried, she up like Mary Poppins the entire pregnancy. Now you're kind of salty, like, were you getting me the first time? But it's just bonus. That's the bonus. Men, no 2 women are the same when it comes to pregnancy. You have some that get sick. You have some that never feel it. You have some that get emotional and hormones are raging. You have some that it's just another day. So be mindful of who they are and how they deal with these situations, and try to be present.
And be accommodating. Because again, you'll never understand it. There is a duty that I don't want to know.
No.
I'm completely fine. Like,
cool on it.
Yeah, that's
all that, I want you to feel. No, you see the men put the things on and they trying to mimic contractions.
Mm-mm.
Why would I do that?
Mm-mm.
I'm not doing that.
No, so, I respect it.
My third, I didn't give y'all my third. My third point that I would share with myself with one child, let them have a voice. I was very...
The child or who?
The child.
Who? Okay.
The child. Let your child have a voice. I was too bullheaded in the area of, I played sports, you're going to play sports. I did this, you're going to do this. I like this, you're going to like this. This is going to strike some people real bad. It's going to touch a nerve. Your professional sports team doesn't have to be your son's professional sports team. Relax and calm down, people. If you like a certain team that wear a certain 5-pointed emblem on their shirt and your son doesn't like that team, deal with it. They may be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan and you just don't know it. Deal with it.
Quick aside. Quick aside. As if that would ever happen. Number 1. Number 2, who wouldn't like the 5 points? And number 3, my son, my family can like whoever they like in my house other than the team in Washington, who remains nameless in talent.
What if they really love them people though, man? Hey.
In my house.
Hey, see?
They can play their music loud in their house.
Let them have a voice,
but in my house, we got volume curfews.
Right.
We got limits.
Right. You'll learn something. If you take the time to sit down and talk to your son, your child, you might learn something. If you're so busy force feeding them your antiquated method of doing things, you're outdated. It's 2023, guys. It's 2023. A lot of the stuff we did, hey, that Freaknik documentary coming out. A lot of things that we did.
I keep seeing posts about that. Yeah.
Relax. Yeah. Learn something.
Freaknik, I was too young. Fun fact, another side, or stand on this side, I don't know if we came back.
Yeah.
95, spring break, we went on a college tour in Atlanta. As we were leaving, we saw them pulling up at the gas station. I said, Mama, Morehouse. Morehouse is for me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was Freaknik until after that. Yeah, I don't have no footage.
Me neither. I'm clean.
I wouldn't have been down there.
Clean.
I've seen a couple people posting with concern. But live your life.
I'm clean.
Freaknik. I don't even know shit. I can't even. I don't even want to explain what that was. If you know, you know. That's what they say.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good one, man. I would dare say if you're not learning from your children, if the experience of being a father or a parent doesn't teach you something new about yourself, you're probably failing miserably.
Right. Or you're a robot. You're going through the motions.
Yeah. Also failing miserably.
That is a failure.
Also failing miserably.
That is a failure.
No, I like that. So let's go quick recapping again. We wanted to stay on track with this one. So my 3 were, number 1, father 5 me with told father 1 me. You don't know what you're doing and that's okay. Number 2, help. Be helpful. Be mindful that things are not role specific. Unless y'all have agreed to that. I'm speaking from my experience because that's the only experience that I'm an expert on. Number 3 for me was don't assume how strong your partner is. Child number 1, child number 2, 3, 4, or 5. And when they tell you child number 5 that they don't want to do it again, believe them. Believe them. Believe them.
Yeah. My recap on my 3 is relax. Let the children be children. Let the kids be kids. Follow through is number 2. And my number 3 is let them have a voice. Yeah. I think those 6 things combined, if you can actively try to find your version of those things, we're not gurus. We're not philosophers. We're not even counselors. Guess what? We don't have degrees in this. I don't have a certificate in this. I didn't do a 3-hour program online for this.
On the weekend.
These are just mistakes that have been made. And what's the old song? Experience is a good teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention.
Yeah. Especially somebody else's.
Yeah, please.
You just need the lesson from an experience. Doesn't always have to be yours. Did you have this type of conversation before or at any stage of 1 through 6 with anybody?
Anybody outside of the children or anybody on this earth?
Anybody having this kind of like in this kind of context, hey, here's what I learned in my experience as you're accumulating experiences as a young father.
My dad, man, my dad is funny. I would say yes. A version of it with him. My dad, he'll randomly just bounce some stuff off your head. You don't even know y'all are headed into that conversation. And I appreciate that. I'm not complaining. I may even look into bringing him on one day, man.
That'd be dope.
I may bring my dad on.
I will gladly give up the seat.
Listen, because I don't know though. That'll take some planning. I don't know, man.
Be one of them ones for sure.
Yeah. Put a pin in that. But not in depth like we did today to really face my failures. Because I had a lot of failures, man. The parent I was back then and the parent I am now are 2 totally different people. I can honestly say that through growth. But that's unfortunate for my first children. That's absolutely a blessing for my current children. I don't have any guilt. My wife and I had a discussion though. She was concerned about my position with my current children. She asked, I don't want to be too revealing, but I think it's a necessary conversation and I don't feel like she would mind. I don't feel like I'm violating her trust or our sanctity of our marriage saying this. But there was a concern of, did I ever feel like I'm holding back?
That's a real thing. On
my current children's experiences out of guilt or the lack or that not having that level of interaction with my first children. And I told her emphatically, no, if I am, it's unknowingly. You know what I mean? I'm not intentionally like, nope, we're not doing that. I don't want to do that because I don't want to be unfair to the first set of children. I'm not doing that. So I ended that conversation with, I'm not, but if you notice anything or you feel that way, please express it so that I can adjust accordingly. Because sometimes you're doing something and you don't even know it. Something can be eating at you and you don't know that guilt or whatever you can be dealing with is there. And until somebody points it out, so now you can really hash that thing out like, man, I guess I was doing that. But I still stand by, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Only reason I asked is because I thinking back through it as I was giving my observations of me and my where I was lacking. There were times that my dad would try to initiate stuff, but I wasn't open to it. Right. I wasn't open to it. And you guys can go through the other conversations and get more context of that dynamic. But I part of the intent with this platform is that there's a place to get it. Now, ideally, it would happen with somebody, that you know more intimately, your biological relationships with, facilitate these conversations. But if they're not, that's the purpose of this platform, is to have a library of conversations on these topics that don't necessarily get handled or have the due discussions that they need at the time that they need, and sometimes not ever.
Mm-hmm.
But you can Google and maybe land on these conversations that'll give you some perspective to help you navigate through that portion of your life, that day of your life, that season.
Absolutely.
So that's what it is, man. Another good one in the books. Hopefully the listening audience, the watching audience took notes. There was some moments of jest, but these things are no laughing matter, and we take them very seriously.
Absolutely.
Again, this is not about regret or trying to relive or redo. This is information that we have today that we take into the days to come.
Right.
And if you can get them earlier in your journey than we did, then I think we've done a service to our audience.
Yep, I agree.
Anything else in closing?
That's it, man. Finish strong, stay focused, pay attention.
We appreciate you guys. God bless you. Peace.
They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more, just to spend it.